Hello guys, welcome all of you back with our database management system question set discussion series. Today we are going to discuss question set number 46. So let's get started. Here we have our description for question set number 46. It says the principal of Ranabima School in Kandy intends to create a software to enter the information of teachers and students in that school. You are entrusted with the task of creating this software. Your team is tasked with developing the database of this software. Database development work is shared between you and everyone on the team. You are asked with storing student and teachers information. Creating the tables need to store subject that teachers teach and subjects that student learns. Use the instruction below to create it. Here we have our first question. It says, the principal of the school has decided to include the data of grade 9 students in the first phase of this software. Your team has created the database for this. The name of the created database is Ranabima School DB. First, you need to select the created database. Create a DDL query for that. In order to select a database, we can use keyword with the database name. In here we have said use Ranabima School DB. Here we have our second question. It says in the selected database, a table name student has been created to store the information of the students studying in grade 9 in the school. Add the following data to the database you have created. Use DDL query when entering the data. Write with DML query is mandatory to enter all the data. So DML query means data manipulation language. Insert queries are example for the DML queries. And they have given us the data that we need to insert into our table, and it has the student ID, first name, last name, gender, home contact number and classes. So let's go and insert these details into our table using DML query. In here first we have use keyword in order to select the database. After that we have use insert query in order to add these details into our table. First we have said insert into, and then we have mentioned the table name, and within the opening and closing bracket we have given the column names of that table. After that we have used values keyword, and then within the opening and closing bracket of this value keyword we have inserted the data that we are going to insert. So these are the queries that we are going to execute in order to add all these data into our table. So let's go and execute them in our database. After inserting the query, we can click on this run button and it's going to add this data into our table. So let's go into our student table and let's go into data. As you can see, the data has been successfully inserted into our table. So let's go back. And here we have our third question. It says, in the database you originally created, a table is created as subject to store information on the main subject taught in grade 9 in the school. Enter all the data in the table below in the created table. Use DML query to enter this data. Write with DML query is mandatory to enter all data. First we have defined our database using use keyword. After that we have used insert query in order to add this data into our table. So these are the queries that we are going to use. So let's go and execute them in our database. After inserting the query we can click on this run button. So let's go into subject table and then the data. As you can see, the data has been successfully inserted into our table. So let's go back. Here we have our fourth question. It says, in the database you created first, the table is created as teacher. To store the information of the teachers who teach grade 9 in the school, enter all the data in the table below in the table you created. Use DML query to enter this data. Writing with DML query is mandatory to enter all the data. First we have to use keyword in order to select the database. After that we can use insert query in order to add this data into our table. So these are the queries that we are going to use in order to add this data. So let's go and execute them. After inserting the query, we can click on this run button. After executing it, let's go into teacher table and then let's go into data. As you can see, the relevant data has been successfully inserted into our table. So let's go back. So guys, that's all for today. Thanks all of you for joining with us. In our next video, let's discuss question set number 47. Until then, have a nice day. Thank you.